So thank you so much for joining us, everyone, here today. I'm Heather. I'm Floreo's Director of Customer Success, and joining me for our Content Rewind webinar is our Director of Therapy Content, Marsha. And I am going to hand the reins over to Marsha to share all of the wonderful knowledge that she has to share. And again, please do feel free to put your questions into the Q&A as we are going through the call today. We are recording the webinar so that anyone can have it as a reference after today. I do see a hand raised. I'm not actually going to allow participants to answer or to ask questions live. Please put them into the Q&A at any time during the webinar. And let me hand the reins over to Marsha. Marsha is as I said, our Director of Therapy Content. She's also a BCBA and a former special education teacher and all-around awesome person. So she's going to take us through some of the amazing Floreo content and give you some expert tips on how you can make the most of it. Take the reins, Marsha.
Thanks, Heather. Hi, everyone. Really excited to have you all here today. Thank you, as always, for taking some time out of your day to be here with us. I'm really excited for this month's webinar. And as I was thinking through what we wanted to talk about, I started thinking that I didn't want to just make this a content rewind. I wanted to make this a little bit of a rewind and a fast forward. And you're probably thinking, Marsha, what are you talking about? So in addition to highlighting a few of our older lessons, I also want to talk about some of the things you're going to be seeing from Floreo in the very near future. One of those sneak peeks will be a lesson that we're going to be releasing very, very soon, a rework of an older lesson, and we're going to talk about both of those. And I also really want to highlight some of the new features that are going to be coming out for you as coaches. Yes, we are really focused this year on giving you all more tools so that you can feel more confident and successful in using Floreo with your learners, whether you work in a classroom, a clinic, you provide in-home services, or maybe you're a parent. And we want to provide more resources and tools for you all so that you can support your learners and therefore making your learners more successful in the development of their skills. So very excited to do a little bit of a rewind, a little bit of a fast forward. And as Heather mentioned, please don't hesitate to drop those questions in the Q&A, and we will do our best to get through all of those before we sign off for the day. And if we don't get to your question, I will post my email address and you can email me directly and we can chat. So Heather, let's get started. And the first thing I want to talk about is our AI recommendations. And the reason I want to start here is because this is something that still a lot of our coaches haven't quite used yet, they're not familiar with, they might not be sure how to use. And so I just want to do a quick overview about our AI recommendations. This is a feature that exists in our portal. When you log in, you should see it. You'll see that there are a few prompts available, so questions that you can just select, and it'll generate a set of lessons for you to try. You can also post your own prompt to our little AI bot. So I definitely recommend when people use this to really focus on the age of your learner, the specific skills you're trying to address with your learner. You can certainly include the diagnosis of your learner, but that might not necessarily yield the results you want because our lessons aren't always coded or tagged to a specific diagnosis. However, they are tagged to a skill level, a skill area, a difficulty level, or an age. So here we have Heather saying, my learner is 12. Excellent. We want to know how old they are and needs help taking turns. Perfect. So we know the age, we know the skill, and this will help our AI bot put together a set of lessons that might be useful for you. This is really excellent for newer coaches who are just familiarizing themselves with Floreo. Our lesson library, it's excellent because it's so big. It can also feel overwhelming if you're new and you haven't had experience yet with our lesson library. So it'll give you a set of lessons you can start with, or maybe you're a very experienced coach, but you're busy, you got meetings, you have a big caseload, you have lots of classes you're planning for. And so you want just a quick and easy way to get a set of lessons to use. So here we have our recommended lessons from our AI bot. We have Magic Mix, who's next, one of my favorite lessons. That is very much a turn-taking focused lesson, focus on actual turn-taking in an activity, turn-taking with conversation, because there is the option to add conversation questions in that lesson. And so your learner can practice letting others have a turn to speak, themselves taking a turn to speak, in addition to practicing taking turns during an activity. Next, we have cooperative work, teamwork. So this comes from our employment readiness category of lessons. And this one's really excellent, especially if you have a transitioned age learner or an adult learner. And this one is very focused on the back and forth of a shared task with a colleague. Here you are working on setting up a store display made up of soup cans. You get to pick the display you want, and you and your colleague go back and forth in building this display together. And then we have the gestures game. Excellent. So here, these are going to be more relevant to younger age learners, certainly could still be useful for transition age learners as well, but certainly falls within our parameters of a 12-year-old. And you're probably thinking, what is this? How is this related to turn taking? Well, I might be using gestures to indicate when it's your turn to do something or when it's my turn to do something. So if we're still working on some of those nonverbal communication skills, gesturing skills, these can be excellent primer lessons before we get to maybe those cooperative tasks. And same with whose turn is it to push the swing. We're using a lot of gestures, nonverbal communication to let people know what's happening. Oh, reunite the animals. I love that this one came up because this is actually one we're going to talk about a little bit later. So I think, Heather, I'm going to save my spiel about reunite the animals because I want to spend more time talking about what that lesson is. If you haven't played it yet, it's such a good one. And I think so many great opportunities to work on a lot of different skills in that lesson. So I'm going to save my spiel for a little bit later in this webinar. So that is just a really quick overview of our AI recommendations. We really encourage people to try it out. As maybe some of you are really familiar with AI, maybe others are not, but the way the AI gets better is through using it. So we want our customers, our coaches using this and giving us feedback. Hey, this was really a really excellent set of recommendations. Or hey, I entered this as the prompt and I got a few lessons that don't really seem to match. Let us know. It will help us refine the brain of our AI and make it a really useful and valuable tool. So please use it. Help us make our AI recommendation system smarter.
And just pointing out that I was pointing to the thumbs up and the thumbs down, that's a really easy way to tell us. And Marsha might have said, but I didn't do a good job Vanna Whiting here. If you like your custom lesson plan, you can tap Save and Assign, name your plan, select the learners you'd like to assign it to, and then tap that Assign button, and it will show up in your coach controls next time you want to run your Floreo session. So Marsha, sorry for probably saying something you already did, but I didn't show it. So
I actually did not mention the Save and Assign, so thank you for mentioning that, Heather. And then yes, the thumbs up, thumbs down is a really easy way to let us know if these were good, if this wasn't good, Netflix style. All right, so next we're going to move over to our Coach Web app. Hopefully you're all really familiar with this beautiful web page that has all tools and features for coaches. And the first lesson we're going to start with, just staying on our AI train, is I want to just do a quick overview of our AI lessons. Hopefully you all had an opportunity to play around with those lessons. And if not, we'll do a very quick overview of those lessons. Really exciting bit about our AI lessons. We've been working really hard to create our own internal AI tooling. Our initial version of Jordan and Marcy that we released, we were using a third-party AI platform to help create those characters. And now what we've done is we've built that in-house. We have some really smart engineers who worked really hard to help create our own AI tooling that we can now use in our lessons. And it's really exciting for us because it means we don't have to rely on kind of a third-party platform to host these characters for us. So here we go, Conversation Corner. Let's go into the movie theater. I spend a lot of time in the park and I love the movie theater. And I'm gonna actually request to speak with Marcy today because I also spend a lot of time talking to Jordan and I wanna give Marcy a little bit of love. So these lessons are really excellent if you have a learner who maybe is working on more advanced social skills. So perhaps the conversation skill lessons, which are more foundational, and I'll talk a little bit more after we do the AI review about those difficulty levels around foundational, functional, advanced. So perhaps they're not working on foundational conversation skills, responding to greetings, responding to a comment in small talk. Maybe they're working on more advanced skills, more nuanced conversation, more free-form conversation. So this can be an excellent lesson to work on that. It can also be an excellent lesson if you're trying to work on something very specific. So the AI characters can be prompted. You can tell them what you want them to do. I want you to act as a job coach. Marsha is 25. She has intellectual disability, and she is preparing to interview at a grocery store to stock shelves and bag food. Help her prepare for that interview, ask her questions she might expect in the interview, and then when we're done, I want you to tell me what she did really well and what are some skill areas that she can work on. You can even prompt the AI character to go when you tell them to go. So what I often say is, I'm going to count down from 3, and when I say go, you're going to start with your learner name. And then I say 3, 2, 1, go, and that AI character will immediately say, hello, Heather, how are you today? So you can provide a lot of direction to our AI characters to do exactly what you need for them to do. So for today, we're going to practice with Marcy about how to make plans with friends. Are we ready, Heather?
I'm ready. So the first thing it's asking us to do, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad that this came up because this is something that sometimes causes a bit of a hiccup. If you have not played these AI lessons before, you're going to have to give microphone permissions. It's kind of an annoying step. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do on our end. This is very much a device permission. So the device, the headset, has to have the permissions to listen to the voice. If you've already done this, no worries, you can push skip. So let's go ahead and skip. And then I want to talk to Marcy. And before we dive in, Heather, I want to make sure, hopefully Marcy will hear me, or do you want to do the talking with Marcy?
I have my headphones in, so I might need to do the talking to Marcy.
Yep.
But maybe I should put myself on mute so I'm not just repeating for everyone.
And while Heather's getting her microphone set up, you'll notice at the bottom there's that pause Marcy knob, and that essentially pauses the experience. So right now we have Marcy paused, and she's not listening to what we are saying. So this is a really helpful feature if you need to pause the conversation to talk to your learner. Maybe the AI character said something that they didn't quite understand, and so you want to have the opportunity to talk to your learner about what this question means or what this comment means and how they can keep the conversation going without that AI character listening, because they are pretty sensitive. They're going to pick up on a lot of the sounds and things that you're saying, and sometimes that can make the conversation feel confusing. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are going to practice planning a hangout with friends with Marcy. And so Heather, since you're going to be talking to Marcy, I want you to give her the prompt of, today I need help making plans with friends. I've never made plans with friends before, and I don't know how to start. And let's see what how she directs our conversation. So here you can see Heather talking to Marcy, and we should see what Heather says appearing in that transcript. Great. Today I'm making plans with friends. And now Marcy's saying, and Heather's muted, so we're not going to hear what she's. Oh, excellent. So she's asking, what kind of plans are we thinking about? Do we want to go to a movie? Do we want to do dinner, or do we want to do something else? Let's plan for a movie.
Marcy, I want to go to the movies.
Right. Great choice. Movies are a fun way to hang out. Now, do you have a specific movie in mind, or are you deciding together with your friends?
And why don't we say, I don't know. I don't watch movies, but my friend likes movies and I want to hang out with her.
I don't know. I don't watch movies, but my friend likes movies and I want to hang out with her.
Oh, that's really sweet. You're doing this for your friend. Nice. All right. Let's figure this out together. Have you asked her what kind of movies she's into, or do you want some ideas to bring to the table?
And let's say I haven't. I need help with ideas.
I haven't. I need help with ideas.
Okay, got it. Let's see, a few ideas. Maybe a fun comedy or a big adventure movie or possibly something light and feel good. Does your friend like those kinds of genres?
And let's pretend that, again, thinking about myself as a learner, maybe I'm an adult with intellectual disability, maybe other diagnoses, and I'm thinking about this person who I work with. So maybe I'm referring to this person as a friend, but the reality is it's someone that I work with. I've never really hung out with them before. And so I'm really just trying to figure out how I can spend time with this person who's been nice to me. Maybe we have lunch together. So let's just say I don't know anything about this person. We've never hung out.
I don't know anything about this person. We've never hung out.
Wow, so this is like a first hangout. That's exciting. Let's figure out a safe bet. Maybe a popular new release everyone's talking about could be a good start. What do you think?
And let's say great idea.
Great idea.
Awesome! Popular new releases usually spark some good conversation. You could check what's playing nearby and maybe pick something that's got a lot of buzz. Sound good so far?
So let's just pretend we've kind of been in this conversation for a while, and now I'm at the point where I need help asking how to hang out. So let's ask Marcy, say, how do I ask this person to hang out with me?
How do I ask this person to hang out with me?
Well, totally understandable. Asking can feel tricky. You could keep it casual, like, hey, I was thinking about checking out this movie. Want to join? Keep it simple, friendly. How does that sound to you?
And let's say that sounds great. I want to practice.
That sounds great. I want to practice.
Awesome. Practice can help for sure. Let's give it a try. You can say something like, hey, I was
The audio cut out.
The microphone problems, 2026.
You're
Would it
doing
be
great.
a webinar without
Just
a mic
take your
problem?
time. Let's break it into smaller pieces. Start with, hey, I was wondering, and then pause. You got this.
So I actually really love that this little happy snafu, mic snafu happened, because here we can see that the microphone would cut off. It was picking up maybe a few different sounds from our chatter in the background. And Marcy recognized that, oh, something unexpected happened. She's interpreting that maybe as I had a hard time with that script. And now she broke it down into smaller pieces. So I think that's a really excellent example of how dynamic these AI characters can be, how they're able to kind of pick up on some of the things that are happening in these conversations, and on their own make adjustments to the experience. We did not give her any preparation around my learning level, my diagnosis. Very often when I'm preparing these characters for something like that, I will give very specific information about the learner. They need simple sentences. They need information to be broken down. So I'm really helping to prime them so that they know exactly how to talk to my learner. But as you can see, they are able to do some of that on their own as we're working. So let's put an end to the AI conversation because we're already at 2:18 and we have so much left to do. But hopefully that was, if you have not played with our AI characters, entices you to try them out. And if you have but haven't used them in this way, definitely encourage you to give them a try. So just very quickly before we dive into our other lessons, I want to just talk a bit about how you can search through our lessons, because obviously we have the search bar where you can type in the lesson name or a keyword. Maybe you don't remember the whole lesson name, but you know that it happens in a house or you know that it happens in the cafeteria. So that's going to be one way that you can search through our lessons. And then if you come down right under this new lesson carousel, you will see 3 boxes, one that says language level, one that says skill level, and one says skills addressed. And this is also an easy way to filter through our library. I think it's pretty obvious what language level means, right? Your learner is minimally speaking. They only have a small repertoire of words that they might use if they want or need something, or they fluently speak sentences, conversations. Skills addressed, again, that's going to highlight the specific skill areas in a lesson. You can see it's quite a long list. We did our best to not make it too long for you. So hopefully this is easy to use. And then the last filter I want to talk about is skill level, because this one is somewhat newer that we introduced. And what does this mean? So we've gotten a lot of feedback from our coaches that they wanted an easier way to understand kind of the difficulty level of a lesson. And so the way that we broke it down is kind of 3 areas. We have foundational. So those are going to be, and Heather, why don't you go ahead and click on foundational, and while I'm talking, you can scroll through that library and show people that it's going to make those categories smaller and focus on lessons that really focus on basic skills that are the building blocks for later learning and for later independence. So these lessons are going to involve direct, structured responses, early stage engagement with the environment or with characters, following one-step directions. This is going to be imitating movements or sounds, greeting someone, watching just a calm scene if we're in our emotional regulation lessons, or responding to your name or a gaze shift. In some of our, so thinking about our skills for independence lesson, because Heather, I see you're in there, those are going to be often that category is geared toward our older learners. So again, those are going to be basic lessons within that category. So scanning the store shelves, right? We're practicing the skill of how to scan in the store, whereas a more advanced lesson is going to feature you in the store with lots of things on that shelf that you have to search through rather than just a few items to search through. Our functional skill level is going to focus on lessons that integrate a lot of those foundational skills into more real world context. So these are going to be more practical, goal-directed behaviors focused on daily routines, schools, community setting. We're going to expect a little bit more independence from some of our tasks, maybe a little bit more cognitive flexibility if we're focusing on executive functioning or social skills. And then we're going to start introducing 2 or 3-step instruction tasks, participating in turn taking, or more in-depth conversations. And then that last skill category is going to be our advanced skill category. And that is going to be skills that reflect the most independence, the most flexibility, the most ability to navigate complex or unpredictable scenarios. Obviously, learners are applying all of those skills from foundational and functional layers into more dynamic, often focused on social or problem-solving situations. So we're thinking about generalization. We're thinking about adaptability. There's probably going to be an there's going to be an element, sorry, I lost that word for a second. There's going to be an element of emotional regulation or problem solving. Again, thinking about independence in these lessons, initiating conversations, handling something that might be unexpected, thinking about our bus lessons, right? You missed your bus, it's never going to come. What are you going to do? That's going to be a much more advanced skill than our find your bus lesson, which is going to be more of a foundational skill of just how to read a bus map, how to get to where you need to go in the community. So that is a super quick overview of using the search filters in our lesson library. Okay, now let's get into the good stuff, which is our content rewind. The first lesson I want to highlight is an OG. Our customers love it. It's been around for a long time. It was actually when I joined Floreo as a content producer, it was the first lesson I ever built. So it has a very special place in my heart. And it is the classic join a conversation. So hopefully, maybe some of you have played this lesson already. If you haven't, we're going to just do a very quick overview of this lesson. You'll notice it comes in 2 environments, the park or the cafeteria. I love the park. I just prefer being outside in general. So we're going to go to the park, and then actually, Heather, can you go back once it loads? Because I want to highlight a new feature that we recently released for our coaches. And yes, there it is. So here we have, if you haven't seen it, when you open that lesson, when you select the lesson and it opens that box, you'll see there's this globe, and you can see there's that little eye next to the globe. So if you're not sure what that is, you can hover over the eye. Someone once taught me hover to discover. So if you hover over it, you will discover that it is our interactive lesson view. We built this because we have heard from coaches that they want to have some way to preview a lesson before they start the lesson. So here you can see it says the lesson name. It gives you the estimated duration of the lesson, because we've also heard from customers that they want to know about how long does this lesson take. So the estimated duration, that 2 minute, is going to be if you do one topic. Obviously, if you're playing multiple topics, it's going to take you longer. And then you'll see we included every point of interaction in the lesson. So there are 2 ways you can look at it. There's that panel on the left that shows you the steps. You can also do a walkthrough. So by selecting walkthrough, it'll automatically move through. You can also click on those icons, but it's telling you exactly what to do. So the coach is going to select a topic. The coach is going to provide some information. 3 characters begin a conversation. The coach asks the learner to identify the topic, prompts the learner to add a comment. Here's where the learner adds their comment. The coach does their data collection piece of selecting whether it was on or off topic. The characters then respond to the learner either in the expected way, that if there was an on-topic comment with something with an agreeable statement, or if it was an on-topic comment with, an off-topic comment with a more confused face. And then the learner has the opportunity to try again, and then the lesson ends. So we have this available for every lesson in our library. If you've not had a chance to check it out, please do. We would love to hear feedback if this is something that's really helpful for you all. So here we are, classic OG, join a conversation in the park. Let's go ahead and start that lesson, and we're gonna pick pizza because that is one of my favorite topics. Background level, you're probably wondering, if you're not familiar with this, what this means, essentially is distraction level. So this is an emerging skill for our learner and we want to minimize distractions, we can select low level. If we want high background traffic, so we want to add in more distractors for our learners so they really have to focus on what people are talking about, you can select high traffic. It's going to add some characters in the background, so some visual distractors, and then it'll sound like there's some quiet chatter in the background, so some auditory distractors. We're gonna, for today, go with low background traffic. And then we're gonna select pizza. Yeah. So, coach, let's practice joining a conversation. First, listen for the topic.
I can't believe they call this pizza.
And now the coach can either have the character repeat what they said, so maybe my learner didn't hear. We want the character to say it again, or we're gonna keep this conversation going. So Heather, let's just keep it going.
Yeah, the only good pizza is deep dish.
I love deep dish pizza.
I like thin crust with extra cheese.
Extra cheese always. And now we're going to ask the learner, do you know what they're talking about? And Heather, do you know what they're talking about?
I do know what they're talking about, and I disagree with all of them because New Haven pizza is where it's at. But at least I'm on topic, right, Marsha?
You are on topic, so go ahead and push yes.
My brother can eat a whole pizza by himself.
That's a lot of pizza. Okay, now it's my turn to keep the conversation going, or let's have Heather's give a turn to have the conversation going. So Heather, keep it going.
You all need to go to New Haven and eat at Pepe's, and then you will really know what real pizza is.
Controversial statement, but on topic.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Give you smiles, and
they agreed with me,
I guess
Marsha.
Carlos has also been to New Haven and likes New Haven style pizza. And then Heather, before you X out, just want to quickly mention this lesson transcript. So this is everything that's happened in the lesson. You can see what we picked, what the character said. So if you need a quick review, you can see that here. So that was OG Join a Conversation. We've had this in our library for many, many years. We know our customers love it. However, we know that there is a slight limitation to that lesson, and that is the age of our characters. So those characters are school aged, maybe could get away with preteen if you squint your eyes and tilt your head a little bit. And so I am so excited to share that we're going to be releasing a new version of this lesson featuring our teenage characters. It is the next lesson in our Teen Talk series, and it is Teen Talk Join a Conversation. And so excited to show you our teenage Carlos Brandon and May, who will often appear in our original Join a Conversation lesson. Sometimes Brandon and Carlos switch places. We put them both in for this lesson. And so we're going to do a sneak peek. It's going to be coming soon, and I'm so excited. And I want to also just talk about a few differences in this lesson. Oh no, it seems like we're stuck in Wi-Fi problem land.
Maybe it's karma for smack talking other pizzas. So let me do some things on my end to try to get it working before I
So while Heather is getting it going, I also want to mention, or actually I'll go to the Q&A because I see there's some things in the Q&A. So let's do that. So can you talk about some of the guardrails that the AI characters have to ensure the conversations are safe and appropriate? Chris, thanks for asking that question. It's an excellent question. We have, so as I mentioned, these are internal AI characters. So we have set up all the guardrails. So the characters do not talk about anything related to violence. They do not talk about drugs, alcohol use. They will not talk about sexualized behaviors. Now, that said, if you are working on something, for example, like dating with your learner, they are interested in dating, they want to practice asking someone for a date, they will have those conversations, but graphic sexual conversations, they will not participate in. They will not participate in conversations that involve racism. And we have set those parameters inside the knowledge base of our AI characters. So they are specifically trained on what they can and cannot talk about. And then those characters go through lots and lots of testing. We do a lot of work internally to try to break those characters and get them to talk about something they are not supposed to talk about. I'll give you my personal example. Before we released the new Jordan and Marcy characters, I was personally having a conversation with Jordan and was really leaning into racist commentary. I was saying a lot of racist things to Jordan and he was not engaging. And it got to the point where Jordan actually told me that he would not speak to me anymore. And he stopped talking. He stopped responding to me. And it was not until I apologized that he was willing to re-engage in conversation with me. So we have lots of guardrails in place. We do have legal counsel in Floreo, and she reviewed everything we have done before putting it out into the world, because certainly the safety of our learners and our coaches is paramount to us. So yes, we have set very specific guardrails for what they can and cannot talk about. We regularly conduct audits to ensure that those guardrails remain in place to ensure that everyone is safe. So thank you so much for asking that question. Heather, are you ready or do you want me to keep going?
I'm ready.
All right. Yay, look, we are in the park and we got our teenagers. How cool. So go ahead and click start. And I want to show you something different. So here you'll see that we have a list of different topics, and then we have them categorized. And the reason that we did it is because we wanted to add an element of difficulty within the experience. So the category 1 lessons are going to be topics where the conversation is a little bit more obvious what they're talking about. They're using slightly simpler language as they're going back and forth. And then category 2 are going to be slightly more nuanced topics. Topics that are maybe not as easy to recognize in the conversation. You have to really listen for those topic words. And maybe they're going to use slightly more complex sentences in their conversation. For today, why don't we pick one of those category 1 lessons? Heather, can you scroll back up to the top? Let's do favorite foods because I'm a little bit hungry right now. So I
can tell with the pizza choice and the favorite foods.
Yeah, I'm a little hungry right now. Lunchtime. And same thing, we did include the traffic level. So low is going to have no background distractors and sounds. High is going to have other characters in the background and more auditory distractions. For today, we're just going to stick with low. Okay, so we're going to join the conversation. And first, we're going to listen for the topic.
What's your favorite food that your parents make?
Same thing, characters can repeat.
My dad makes the best smash burgers, like the best.
Oh, I love when my parents make grilled cheese. Sometimes they make it extra fancy with 2 or 3 different cheeses.
Love grilled cheese.
My grandma's Mexican pozole is so good. Probably my favorite food of all time.
Heather, what are they talking about?
They are talking about what I would like to eat for lunch.
maybe they're also talking about their favorite foods.
I'm going to say that I did that correctly.
That's right. They're talking about their favorite foods. So we're going to add a comment, Heather, to keep that conversation going.
My mom makes the best lasagna in the whole world.
Nice.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And the other fun thing about this lesson that we didn't get to see in this topic, so first you'll notice that the other difference between this version of Join a Conversation and the original one is in the original one, as soon as you end that topic, you have to restart the lesson to keep going. Here we built in the option to keep going. You don't have to restart the lesson. So if I wanted to select a different topic, I can. There is also 2 conversation paths per topic. So when I select favorite foods again, they might be talking about something completely different, still around favorite foods, but it's going to be different conversation. The other thing that's really fun about this lesson is the characters will gesture while they talk. So May at one point makes air quotes because she's talking about something. Carlos does a lot of movement with his hands. And we also gave them lots of different facial expressions. So they'll smile, they'll make confused faces, they make sad faces. So look out for this lesson coming soon, especially if you have adolescent, teenage, adult learners and you're working on more foundational conversation skills. Teen Talk Join a Conversation is coming out very soon, and we're really, really excited about that. All right, let's keep this content rewind train going. I'm going to, I think rather than Heather, us going through doing a walkthrough of the lesson, since we're running short on time, I sometimes talk too much, I'm sorry. Let's just highlight some of those lessons. And then I want to talk about, as it relates to those lessons, some of the things that are going to be coming out very soon to help you as coaches. So our conversational skills category, this is going to be a lot of foundational and functional social skill, conversation skill lessons, responding to greeting types, responding to small talk with just a single comment. And then we have our small talk and greeting and motions lessons here. For today, Heather, I would love for you to go down to where our TSA lessons live, because I would love to highlight those. We have 3 TSA lessons. We released a newer version in that series a couple months ago. Actually, at this point, it was 2025, so it was longer than a couple months ago. But there are 3 versions of that lesson depending on what where your learner is skill-wise. So there is airport security check. That's going to be a walkthrough of what to expect when you're going through the TSA security line, American TSA security line. Understanding airport security. So this is going to involve a lot more of the learner talking through what to expect. So this would be kind of the second part to the airport security check. And then the last one in that series is TSA search and question. So this is going to be for learners that already have some familiarity around the TSA lines and kind of already know what to expect when going through the line. And so we want to add an additional part of going through security, which is sometimes you are randomly selected for additional screening and questions. And so in this version of the lesson, the coach has the option, once that learner puts their bag on the scanner, to be the security scanner, the coach has the option to select if the learner is going to be chosen for additional search and questions. If the coach says yes, you hear the voice of the TSA agent say, please step over here. You hear a slight buzzer to indicate you've been selected. And then one of the TSA officers searches through your bag and they start asking a series of questions to the learner. And then once it's over, you get to go on your trip. So those are 3 great lessons you can use if you are working on travel, trips, maybe your learner's getting ready to go somewhere with family, whether it's the first time they're flying on a plane or they've been to the airport many times and it's still a place that causes them some anxiety. I mean, I think for most of us, travel can be quite a stressful day. So these can be really excellent lessons to help prep your learner for those experiences. They also can be really great lessons if you're working on different language skills. So maybe we're working on, it's one thing to listen to directions. It's another to provide information and directions to another person. These are skills that are going to be really important as we're thinking about transition age learners, getting ready to prepare them for a job, or maybe they're not going into a job, but they're going into adult services. And we want them to have the skills to be able to communicate things that they not just want and need, but also communicate information to others, provide direction to others as well. So 3 TSA lessons, one just what to do, what to expect, one that has the learner more talking through what to do and what to expect, and then the third, which is going to have search and questions. All right, let's keep it moving. And the next lesson I would love to talk about, I would love to highlight our street crossing lessons. So these ones are super functional and really important. You can find these in 2 categories, our skills for independence and our safety category. And we have lots of street crossing lessons. Most of them take place in a city, except for neighborhood crosswalk. We actually built neighborhood crosswalk in partnership with Easter Seals of Southern California. And that was very exciting to build. And they actually pointed out to us that, a lot of the learners that they work with don't live in cities, they live in the suburbs, and they would love to have a street crossing lesson that takes place in the suburbs. So again, crosswalk button challenge is right next to it. So that one really goes through all the steps of crossing the street, from recognizing where you are, orienting toward that button, pushing the button, waiting for the walk sign to change, checking both ways, crossing the street, practicing that routine again. The other iterations of that lesson are going to be a little bit more complex. So it'll involve cars that don't come to a stop right away and the learner has to wait. There's a jaywalker, so don't follow the jaywalker. 3-way stop signs, how to cross at a 3-way stop sign. Recognizing gesture cues from a driver who's waving you to walk. And then again, that neighborhood crosswalk, which happens in a suburban setting, crossing the street at a stop sign. These lessons are also really excellent if we're just working on identifying community signs. We're out in the neighborhood already. Maybe you don't have easy access to safe places in neighborhoods to practice community sign identification. So using these lessons can be a really great place to work on those skills. There's a stop sign, there's a crosswalk, identifying the hand to wait versus the person to cross. And then there's also the other little community sign gems that exist in these lessons, from like street names to car types to building types. Lots of different skills, labeling skills can be worked on in these environments. All right, the last one, I have 2 more that I'm going to talk about, and then I want to show the new feature we're going to be releasing for coaches very soon. So first one I want to go back to is reunite the animals. That one surprisingly came up. I swear we did not know that was going to happen when we did the AI recommendation. And so if you go down to our social interactions lesson, you will find reunite the animals. This lesson is a social skill focused lesson, and it does not include human characters, and we did that intentionally. We know that we have some learners who feel a lot of anxiety when they are around people. Those social situations make them nervous. And we know that very often our learners, when they start to feel anxious, when they start to feel stressed, they sometimes start to lose some of the skills that they have. Communication skills can be one of them. And so we wanted to create a lesson that can focus on cooperative tasks, collaboration, without putting learners in a scenario where they might be stressed because they have human characters around them. So we created Reunite the Animals. And this lesson, there's so many good skills that you can work on. Obviously, the goal is you want to pair the animals who got lost in a windstorm. You want to pair them together so that they can go home. So obviously, pattern recognition is going to be one of those skills that learners work on. This one also, you can really work on expressive language skills here. I talked earlier about providing instructions, providing directions. This lesson is great for that because the learner has to tell Reggie the owl where the different animals are located. So we can really dive into things as basic as it's over there with a point, because maybe that's what my learner is working on, to it's next to the rock, or it's in between the rock and the tree. Again, depending on where your learner is skill-wise, there's lots of different ways that you can use and access this lesson. Additionally, maybe you have a non-speaking learner. They can still play this lesson too, because you can look at the character you want. You can have them point in the direction that of the character that they're looking in to indicate where which animal they want the owl to find. The other great piece about this lesson that we built in is it is very much an asking for help lesson. There are specific points in the lesson where some of the animals are hidden completely out of view. So no matter how much that learner is looking around, they're not going to find the pig. They're not going to find the deer, and they need to ask Reggie for help. So if asking for help is something that your learner is working on, this can be a really excellent lesson to tackle that. All right. Last, but go ahead, Heather.
Are you not going to talk about the little cute piggy feet?
I will talk about the cute piggy feet. So when you play this lesson, there's lots of cute little animations that happen. A fan favorite of both our customers and Florians is that little pig with the cute little hat. When Reggie finds the animal, Reggie brings them over to the meeting spot. And when that little piggy is flying with Reggie, its feet are fluttering in the air like this, and it is adorable. Learners have called it out, coaches have called it out, and like I said, it is Heather just called it out, so it's a fan favorite amongst Florians and our customers.
No one will be disappointed by the cute piggy feet.
No one will be disappointed. Absolutely not. The very last lesson I just want to quickly talk about are our chit chat lessons. So the conversational skill category is going to provide a lot of primer lessons for the chit chat lesson. So again, responding to a greeting, responding to a comment with a comment. But then we have our chit chat lessons, which are more involved conversations going back and forth with the character. We have 3 versions of that lesson as well. Chit chat with Myra is going to be the easiest lesson in the sense that there are no background distractions. So in this, it's just you and Myra talking, nothing else is happening. She's using simple sentences, simple language. Chit chat with Alejandro, we've introduced some more distractors in the background. So there's some sounds happening, there's some characters moseying around, and he's using slightly more complex language in his conversation. Chit chat with Ayana is in a park. There's a lot of distractions happening. The learner also has to approach Ayana in this lesson. In the other 2 versions, the character comes to the learner and initiates the conversation. Here, the learner must go to Ayana, and they are the ones that are going to initiate that conversation. So slightly more skills expected from that learner. And Ayana is going to use the most complex language. She's going to have the most nuance in what she says. She even uses a little bit of sarcasm in a couple of her sentences. And at the end, she leaves, and we do take data collection on the learner saying goodbye to Ayana. In the other lessons, the characters say goodbye, the learner can say goodbye or not, but we're not collecting data specifically on that, whereas in this lesson, we are. Okay. I'm getting close to the end of time, and I know we have one question left in the Q&A I want to get to, and I quickly want to share something. So Heather, while you're still screen sharing, oh wait, go back to your screen share because I want to show something really cool. It's going to be launched next quarter. We are going to be releasing a coach hub. So Heather, go ahead and select that coach hub. And here it is. So we are going to be, for you coaches, we're going to be creating a resource hub. And what this is, it's going to be a place where you can go, you can select a lesson and find supplemental resources. So these might be things that you can print out, activities that you can print out and use in your classroom, in your therapy session, in your social skills group. It might just be information around different activities that you can do in VR. So not necessarily something you're printing out, but things that you can do in real life to reinforce those skills that were learned in VR. And so we are going to be launching this with a lot of resources that we've created. And over time, our hope is that it can be a place where coaches actually also share a lot of the resources and materials and things that they're creating, because we know, we hear so often, we see so often so many of the incredible things that you are all making. So we want it to be a space where coaches can share things with one another. So Heather, I'm going to screen share now. Oops, I just sent you a request to let me screen share. And I'm going to show you just a quick preview of what you can expect with some of these resources. And like I said, it's going to be a broad spectrum of things. So here I'm going to go to our airport security lesson. So here you can see we have a resource around what to expect when flying, provide an overview of what the activity is, some of the learning objectives, any materials you might need, and then if there's any instruction activities that might be helpful for you as coaches, you can see it. So here you can see we've prepped some sequencing cards. These can be cut with the text or without the text. So learners in real life, either before or after they've done the lesson, can practice sequencing the steps of going through TSA. We also put together a social story that could be used. Maybe your learner is someone that really likes social stories. It helps prepare them for different activities or events. So we put together a social story. If you have Adobe, you can modify this and put pictures of your learner in this, or you can use it as is. We just talked about join a conversation. And so again, if you are a teacher, we know that our teachers are often thinking about lesson plans. So we put together a lesson plan template. You can insert what are those common core standards that this is going to be linked to. And same thing, we have objectives. We have questions that you might want to pose to your class, materials that you'll need to use. And then we also added how to differentiate support for different groups, so high support learners versus low support learners. And then you'll see we have, this would be a template for a therapy plan. So maybe you're a therapist putting together a plan for your social skills group, or maybe just the individual therapy session that you're running. We included some communication and visual supports, how you can integrate AAC into this experience. And then we have one that is specific for social skills group. So you're running social skills group and you want to talk about how to, want to know how to incorporate, join a conversation, the skills and topics and reinforce those skills in your social skills group. We have that ready to go. We made checklists. So again, what are the steps you have to remember? This would be for a younger learner who's a reader. We also have one that's going to be for younger learners, but with more visuals to support them. And then we have this one that's going to be geared toward older learners. Really the main difference is kind of the language that we're using in these is going to be a big differentiator between the younger learners and the older learners. Crosswalk bingo. So again, thinking about all of our crosswalk lessons, we have so many of them. And maybe you want to go out into the community, you practice finding them in VR, but you want to go into the community and find them in real life. So you can either do this as a bingo game, you can do this as a scavenger hunt, you could just use this as a checklist. We're just going around and looking for things in our community. Again, if you have access to any sort of editing software, you can print this out and replace some of these, download this and replace these images with street signs that are in your neighborhood. You don't have to use these as is. The goal is that we really just want to provide you all wraparound resources that you can be using. And if you can, we want you to edit them because we just want these to be easy for you all so that again, you feel supported and your learners feel supported. The chit chat lessons. So maybe you want to practice some of these conversation skills in real life. Well, we made chit chat cubes for you. So you can print these out, you can glue them together or tape them together. And they have different conversation starters. And all of these conversation starters come from the lessons. Some of them are directly, so one of those topics is last night. Alejandra says, guess what I did last night? So you can start with the question of, what did you do last night? We have two versions of this if you don't have a color printer versus if you do have a color printer. And then thinking about some of those conversation lessons, whether it's chit chat or maybe it's join a conversation. We also created a friend file activity to do. So after you've played that lesson, for folks who do a lot of social skills group, this is probably a concept that you're familiar with. When you meet people, when you talk to them, you create a file in your brain so you can remember things about them. So the next time you see them, you have something to talk about. Or if you want to make plans with them, you have some information in your file about things that they like. So this can be an activity that you do with your learner. Here's the little file name. You can see cute Alejandro right there. So that can be a possible resource for you all. The last one I want to share is about Reunite the Animals. So Reunite the Animals, lots of different activities you can do. Here you see we have matching by letter. So this would be the first letter of those words, E for elephant, D for deer. We also have matching by name, capital D deer for those big deers, lowercase d for the little deers. We also have animal profile. So you can, if your learner likes one of the animals, they can work on a profile. So we have basic facts, information about elephants, and then again, differentiated worksheets for your learners. So this would be for a learner who's a writer. They can fill in the species, the size. Maybe they're not a writer, so we can have them cut and paste that information. These could also be used with our wild immersion lessons. We know people really love those lessons. So this would be a very appropriate activity to reinforce some of the information they're learning from from those experiences. And then we have matching. So this would be matching by where they live, by habitat. So features or habitat, builds nests in trees, nocturnal, known for its cunning nature. And similarly, we have these worksheets differentiated by language level. So again, if we have a learner that can understand nocturnal, you can use this worksheet. If maybe they need to just, maybe they're at the level of this animal is awake at night, we have that available as well. And then this one is by feature, has wings, has big antlers, has a bushy tail, and they're going to draw the line to match. So we are working really hard to get all of these resources ready for you all in our Coach Hub. So that way, when you're using Floreo, it's not just that isolated session in VR. You can bring a lot of those concepts or themes into your classroom or into your therapy plan. Okay, I did it with 5 minutes. Can you remind us how we would prompt Marcy with the information needed before the lesson starts? Yes. So you will essentially prompt either Marcy or Jordy. Oh my goodness. Marcy or Jordan, you're going to tell them, so what I like to do, and maybe Heather, when we send out a follow-up, the recording, we can include the worksheet I made around how to prompt Marcy and Jordan, because it recently went out in one of our newsletters, so in case you missed it, we will send that out again. I give some pretty clear instructions around how to prompt them and how to cue them. So the way that I like to do it is I like to give them information about who the learner is. Marsha is 27 years old. She is autistic and has intellectual disability. She's preparing for a job at the movie theater, taking customer tickets. And then any other information that might be important about the learner. Please speak slowly. I've used that with our AI characters. Please speak slowly and use simple sentences so Marsha can understand you. Generally, just that information alone, kind of some important information about the learner and what is it that you're exactly trying to have the AI character do with the learner. Is it role-playing a job interview? Is it practicing asking a friend to hang out? Is it figuring out who is a friend versus who is an acquaintance? Maybe it's practicing different communication styles. I want to practice assertive communication instead of shy communication because I tend to be a shy communicator instead of an assertive communicator. So tell them exactly what you want to work on, exactly what you want them to do. And then if you want them to give you kind of some feedback on how that went, you can say, and when we're done, please tell me what Marsha did very well and what are some things she needs to work on. And once that session ends with the learner, that AI character will give you that information. Don't end the lesson because then they won't tell you. But it's when your learner is done talking to them, they will give you the information. Marsha did a really great job talking about herself and the things that she likes. I would really focus on her talking about why, she said that she wants this job because she's really organized. Help her think about examples of how she's organized. Is it that she helps her mom with laundry at home? She helps her mom put groceries away at home, and that's why she is so good at organizing. So information about your learner, their age, skills that they have, ways that they need to be spoken to. Please speak quietly, quietly. That's not what you want them to do. You want them to speak at a good voice volume. Please speak slowly. Please use short sentences. And when I have role played with the AI characters, acting as a learner, there have been times where the AI character will say something to me and I will respond with, I don't know, I don't understand, trying to force them to rephrase what they've said, break down what they said, and they are very responsive to that. They will typically adjust what they're asking or what they're saying based on that feedback of, I don't know, I don't understand. But we will definitely send out that resource that has how to prepare those AI characters for specific conversations you want them to have with the learners. Excellent question.
And Marsha has a great video that I'll also send along with the prompting resource because she actually did some role playing and made a video of it for you guys to review. So I will also send that too. If anyone has other questions while we're still on the call here, please do put them into the Q&A and we'll hang out for another moment or two while people are frantically typing into that Q&A.
And I'm going to put my email address in the chat for folks. So if there's maybe you can't think of a question now, but something comes up later, please don't hesitate to send me an email. I love talking with our coaches. I love hearing the work that you're doing. I'm inspired by you all very often. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have a question, a comment, you're thinking about, you have something you're working on in your classroom or your session, and you really want to use Floreo, but you're not really sure where to start or if there's anything that's appropriate. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to show the way for you.
And if anyone is not already a Floreo customer, then please reach out to us at support@floreovr.com. We're happy to connect you with the salesperson that covers your area.
And Heather, I'm not sure if my message went to the audience, so in your follow-up email, if you can just add my email, that would be
Happy
great.
to. And it looks like we have a little testimonial in the Q&A here. Someone's adult son uses Floreo and has increased communication and engagement skills. Oh my gosh, my heart sings to hear that.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. It makes me really happy to hear the big progress our learners make and even the small little gains that they make. It's so exciting. And we're so happy to hear that Floreo is helping your learners, your children, learn new skills. We are all here to make the world more open and accessible for the neurodiverse. So thanks for being part of this mission with us.
So I don't see any other questions in the Q&A, but I want to thank everyone for taking their time with us, bearing with us as we talked a lot about pizza and what we wanted for lunch. And I hope that you guys have some fun exploring all of the lessons that Marsha highlighted today and all of the lessons that she didn't have time to highlight, because we could talk all day about the cool content that Floreo's content team is developing. And if you have questions after the call, be on the lookout for this recording in an email, and I will include the resources that Marsha shared along with her email address as well. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.